Okay, let's just get right into it. On October 19th, 2025, the world's most famous museum suffered the biggest heist in French history. And this all happened in broad daylight, unfolding not like some slick spy movie, but more like a perfectly executed exploit of a system's deepest, most fundamental flaws.
I mean, just look at this timeline. The entire operation took just 7 minutes. That's it. 7 minutes to approach, breach, and escape one of the most guarded buildings on the entire planet. It was a really shocking display of speed and precision that left authorities and pretty much everyone else completely stunned.
For the people who were actually inside, it was just pure chaos. Imagine the sound of an angle grinder just ripping through glass, echoing through these beautiful galleries. As guards were rushing to get visitors out, a lot of people thought it was a terrorist attack, never guessing they were witnessing France's most audacious heist in decades.
So, how on earth did this happen? Well, this wasn't just a simple smash and grab. To really get it, you have to look at it like a security expert. This was the result of a complex system failure, an exploit that targeted a fortress with vulnerabilities that were known for a long, long time and just never patched.
You see, the Louvre's biggest strength, its history, is also its greatest weakness. It was built way back in 1190 as a defensive fortress. Its whole job was to keep people out. But today, its mission is the exact opposite, to let millions of people in. And that creates this built-in conflict between security and accessibility, a tension the thieves exploited perfectly.
And here's the really wild part. The museum knew about these problems. A really damning police audit from 2021 laid out all of the weaknesses in painful detail. It pointed out major blind spots in camera coverage. In fact, the camera closest to where they broke in was facing the wrong way. And it noted that 35% of the rooms in that specific wing had no cameras at all. And for nearly 4 years, those critical security upgrades, the patches for these known bugs, were only just beginning to be put in place. This huge delay left the museum dangerously exposed. It was literally a window of opportunity just waiting for someone to climb through. So when this audit was leaked to the media, it was, as one security expert pointed out, like handing thieves a roadmap to the museum's weakest points. It was basically the physical equivalent of a zero-day exploit, a publicly available guide showing exactly how to hack into the Louvre. But okay, the technology and the architecture were only part of the equation. As is so often the case in these massive security breaches, the most critical vulnerability, well, it was the human element. For years, labor unions had been sounding the alarm about chronic understaffing. Over 15 years, the museum had actually cut around 200 full-time security jobs, even while the number of visitors was skyrocketing. The guards on duty were stretched incredibly thin, and they were trained to manage crowds, not to confront thieves coming at them with power tools. And this is where the thieves' understanding of social engineering really becomes clear. They didn't sneak in at night. They did the exact opposite. By dressing in high-vis vests and using a furniture lift, they exploited what's known as construction blindness. In a city like Paris, which is constantly being renovated, they just became invisible in plain sight. Security experts have a name for this tactic: knocking first. And if all that wasn't bad enough, get this. There was a huge procedural glitch. The museum's legal paperwork to even operate its own security cameras had actually expired months earlier and just hadn't been renewed. It was just one more oversight in this whole cascade of failures. So as the thieves disappeared into the streets of Paris on scooters, this unprecedented investigation began. But the police were in a race against a new kind of criminal threat, and the clock was ticking fast. But here's the twist. For all their brilliant planning, the thieves made some really sloppy amateur mistakes. In their rush to get out, they left a treasure trove of forensic evidence right at the scene. Tools, a helmet, gloves, and, most critically, they dropped the Empress Eugenie crown. And this is just a perfect example of the power of modern forensics. That helmet they abandoned, it had trace DNA on it. Investigators ran it, matched it to a known criminal in their database, and within just 1 week, they had their first suspects under surveillance, arresting 2 of them at the airport as they were trying to flee the country. The investigation also started to uncover digital evidence that suggested the thieves weren't just lucky. A member of the museum's own security team was apparently in contact with the suspects, feeding them sensitive info about layouts and blind spots. And that explained their surgical precision once they got inside. But even as the suspects were getting arrested, a grim reality started to set in. You see, the success of the investigation couldn't change what was stolen, or more importantly, why it was stolen.
You know, when the Mona Lisa was stolen back in 1911, the whole point was to keep the painting intact. But this was different. Experts believe the thieves targeted these specific jewels not for their priceless heritage, but for their raw materials. This is what's known as commodity theft.
And this is the chilling logic of commodity crime. The jewels altogether were worth around 88 million euros. But melted down and recut, the raw materials are worth about 13.4 million. So why would they sacrifice over 85% of the value? Well, it's because that smaller sum is untraceable, liquid cash. Once you dismantle it, the heritage is erased forever, and the crime becomes almost impossible to track.
The Louvre heist wasn't just a robbery. It was a stress test that revealed the profound fragility of our most cherished institutions. It exposed this whole network of failures in tech, in procedure, in people, and it raises a really unsettling question. If a fortress like the Louvre is this fragile, what does that say about the security of everything else we cherish?